It was all to play for in the final festive fixture of 2021 as table toppers Durham took on Exeter University at Topsham, with the home side looking to close the gap at the top of the table. It was Durham who made a storming start, Jack Reed bursting through and feeding Harry Craven to chip over. Fortunately though for Exeter, Archie Hoskin was able to mop up at the back. Crunching hits like this one from Chris Moore were a trademark of the entire afternoon, and Exeter had an opportunity as Will Yarnell broke free after selling a dummy. The scrum half raced through and fed Jordan Bond, but Durham tracked back well to Holt hit the wing in his tracks before winning a penalty at the breakdown. Yarnell was finding pockets of space all over the field in the opening exchanges, and after this electric half break from Tom Eelman, the scrum half was off again, charging into the Durham 22. Exeter, though, were unable to hold on to the ball as Durham's defence held firm. It took nearly 20 minutes for the first score of the afternoon, and it came from the boot of Patrick Bishop after Exeter were penalised at the scrum. The fly half slotting the penalty from 40 metres. Exeter, though, stuck to their task in attack, and they were very nearly in for their first score of the afternoon just a few minutes later as Charlie McCaig and Dan John linked up to feed Arthur Relton on the left wing. The winger burst through and rounded the fullback, only for Paul Brown to track back well, denying him the score with the try line at his mercy. Indeed, with half an hour on the clock, it would be the visitors that would register that first score of the afternoon. Durham's driving maul game has been a weapon for them all season, and whilst Exeter's defence held firm initially, penalties began to creep in, allowing the visitors to set their stall close to the line. After nearly 2 minutes of relentless pressure from Durham, eventually it was second row Marin House who barrelled over from close range. Bishop was again successful from the tee to take his side out to a 10-0 lead. With half-time approaching and desperate to get back into the game, Exeter showed a bit of ingenuity with this crossfield kick from Josh Barton. Bond expertly took the ball in the air and raced free into the Durham half. But again, as had been a feature, Durham's defence won out. In the second half though, Exeter came out like a team with a point to prove, winning the ball from the restart and hammering away at the Durham line. After several huge carries from Chris Moore and Luke Brailsford to go close, a penalty advantage was awarded to the home side, with Josh Barton switching play back the other way and Tom Eelman feeding Charlie McCaig to dive over for his side's opening score. Durham, though, would stretch their lead again through another Bishop penalty after Exeter were penalised for a deliberate knock-on. With so much riding on this one, fine margins were certainly going to decide the game, and Exeter kept it tight as they worked their way back into the Durham 22 before Daffyd Jenkins made a half break. That seemed to catch the defence off their guard, allowing Dan John to pop up at first receiver, feeding Alec Lloyd-Seed, who fizzed the ball out to Jordan Bond to race in for his second try in 2 games and get Exeter back into the match. Durham still looked to attack, but were met with a brick wall in defence, including this second huge hit from Chris Moore, before Fred Davis spilt the ball on the ground trying to gather a loose offload. It was persistence in attack that was paying off for Exeter, with a series of strong carries at close quarters allowing them to build the momentum before their third try came, as Lloyd-Seed fed Tom Hitchcock to dive over and take the lead for his side, with just 15 minutes of the match remaining. The fly half then added the conversion to stretch his side's lead out to 4. Durham, though, would hit the front again with a superbly worked team score. Patrick Bishop, Henry Wills and Jack Reed all linked up in midfield to send Max Pepper down the wing, feeding Paul Brown to race in out wide, regaining the lead for his side. Crucially though, Bishop missed the conversion, and with just a minute left on the clock, Durham thought they'd won the game with this turnover, only for Niall Armstrong to snatch the ball back for his side and win the penalty. With the clock ticking ever closer to 80, Alec Lloyd-Seed showed nerves of steel to edge his side back into the lead, but there was to be one last twist in the tail. After Exeter were penalised at the breakdown, Durham put themselves just 5 metres out from the line and pounded hard at the Exeter defence. With well over 3 minutes of overtime played, any score would win the match. For Exeter though, it was Tom Hitchcock who was the hero, who stripped the ball in contact before getting back into position to boot the ball into touch and spark wild celebration from an Exeter side that know they've kept their BUCS Super Rugby hopes alive with the most late of late victories.